Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Rudy's Rant, where we drop our reactions for some of the videos that have been popping off around social media, YouTube, wherever, things that people have to say. We give our reaction. In this particular video, we're giving a reaction to a YouTube video by CNBC. This video came up about 2 months ago, actually. My wife sent it to me. You should always listen to your wife, because this video is interesting. It talks about the lack of profitability of the WNBA despite a record-breaking year. Now, I'm going to break this down. I'm not going to play the entire video, but I'm going to break it into some pieces because, let's be real, this is the national media, so it's always slanted in a direction. So before we go into this video, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, hit that bell if you haven't done so yet. Go on over to the main channel. Come on now, the podcast. Subscribe over there. Become a member. Membership lives are at 9 p.m. every Tuesday. But thank you so much again for joining me over here. Let's jump in on the video, and we will go from there. I'm going to do it in 1.25 speed because this is a 20-minute video. And I do want to get through all of it, or at least most of it.
You've probably heard of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese in recent months, two superstar rookie WNBA players who some claim are behind one of the fastest turnarounds in sports league history.
Let's stop it off the bat. Why is every time that Caitlin Clark's name is mentioned, you have to mention Angel Reese? CNBC, one person created this tsunami. Caitlin Clark. Leave Angel Reese out of these conversations. It's time they really start doing that.
I can't think of a time in my lifetime that I've ever felt that type of movement in the air around you of just, this is happening.
This is something that, you dream about, and, playing in front of these crowds and these fans is amazing.
Take a look at this chart right here. It shows the WNBA team valuations as of June 2024. The Las Vegas Aces.
This number right here of 90 million for the Indiana Fever, I guarantee you, is going to be at the top next year. When next season starts, this valuation will jump and probably double.
The reigning champions are valued at $140 million. Just 3 years ago, the team was bought for $2 million. They won the championship the next year, in 2022, but that's beside the point. The New York Liberty are valued at $130 million. In 2019, the team was reportedly sold for $10 million to Alibaba co-founder Joe Tsai. The team made $2 million in ticket revenue in just one game this season, the most ever of any WNBA team.
I'm going to ask a question that we probably know the answer to, but I'm going to ask the question. What game had $2 million in one game ticket revenue? Oh, damn. It says it right here. Caitlin Clark helps Liberty become first WNBA team to have $2 million in one game ticket revenue, a source says. This was not the Liberty that did this. This was Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. And this is where I start having issues with this video. They keep on referring to the WNBA. They ignore the reality. They ignore the fact that the person responsible is Caitlin Clark. And they do that consistently.
Elected officials, corporate, private equity, everybody like, how do I get into the WNBA and how do I invest? And can I have an expansion team, or can I invest in a current team?
Caitlin,
can you imagine saying, how can I invest in something that's done nothing but lose money for 27 years? Like, think about how silly that sounds, where Kathy Engel, as Ben Daniel calls her, at Engel Brain Dead. Can you imagine people sitting here saying, how can I invest in a league that is a money pit loser? It's crazy. Finally, they talk about Caitlin Clark again. But of course, you'll see that they talk about somebody else right after that, too.
Clark signed a $28 million Nike deal before she had even played a professional
A very undervalued deal, as we know. It should have been signed for about $100 million, but Nike screwed her and her agent did a terrible job.
game. She has also signed with Wilson, the first basketball player to do so since Michael Jordan in 1984. Angel Reese has deals with Reebok, Beats by Dre, Wingstop, Xfinity, and many more. Despite all of this, there's been a lot of talk about the modest earnings of players. Clark's base salary this year is about $76,000. Breanna Stewart, the reigning league MVP or most valuable player, is earning $205,000. Sure, they can both make more through bonuses or marketing opportunities with the league and can make millions in sponsorship deals. But lots of other athletes get these deals too and still receive a higher salary. For example, this year's #1 NBA.
See, this is where they become disingenuous. Now we're going to say other players get higher salaries too. How dare you compare an NBA for #1 pick, the #1 pick in the NBA draft, to anyone in the WNBA? Like, how dare you? That just shows that you're so not in tune or in touch with the reality. So CNBC has chosen to do a woke piece on the WNBA and basically say, why is the NBA player making more than the WNBA player? Why? Because they actually make revenue. They actually make a profit. They make money. They're not just a freaking a charity case. They're not just the Goodwill of America, the Salvation Army. They make bread. That's why. Why else would that be the case? I mean, it just sounds so unbelievably naive and tone deaf and brain dead that you would have no idea why. Why? Like, think about that stupidness. That's just dumb. That's dumb. Caitlin Clark made the base salary for a WNBA player. Great. Great. And there's only a couple of players in the WNBA that are making millions in endorsement deals. And obviously, Caitlin's one. Angel Reese is another. There might be a couple more. I doubt they're making millions. Maybe they're making $1 million, but they're not making millions.
Draft pick will earn a $12.6 million salary before sponsorship deals.
The comparisons to men's leagues are always tough. We're a league that's only 28 years old. The NBA is 78 years old. We've got players making significant endorsements who had 0 endorsements back in 2019 when I joined this league. They wouldn't have any of those opportunities if they didn't have this league to play in.
It's easy to look at other leagues and see the multi-million dollars that these folks are getting. We're going to be there one day. It's just continuing the positive progress that we've made and make sure that the sustainability of this league for the future.
I disagree with Stephanie White. I don't think they'll ever be there. See, that's where I just disagree with that. I disagree. It will never be there. Will it get better? Yeah, but it will never be where your #1 pick in the draft is making $13 million or $12 million walking in the door. So, sorry, that's just not real. It's not true. It's not reality. I just don't agree with that. I think that's just not the case. And it will never be the case. On top of the fact that you don't play 82 games, you don't have 30 teams, you have 13 teams. You've grown, reduced, grown, reduced, grown, whatever. And you want to be back at 16 teams in the next 5 years. And you'll have 2 more next year, so you'll be at 15. But you're not playing 82 games, and you're not playing in real arenas. So half your league plays in Band-Aid boxes, as I call them. Like this is just not. No, I don't agree with that. That's just not true.
Generations is still going to be there.
The league's biggest challenge now is making its business model work while players are negotiating for a bigger slice of the pie. A monumental $2.2 billion TV rights deal with Disney, Amazon Prime, and NBC Universal starting in 2026 could change everything. The question is, will it be enough?
Why didn't they mention who was the reason for that deal? There's one reason for that deal. There's one reason. Only one reason for the deal. It's Caitlin Clark. Without Caitlin Clark in the league this year, that number doesn't exist. So again, you're leaving out the key components to why these things are all happening or why they've happened at all.
This is Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. Third place Connecticut Sun on New York Liberty in the Women's National Basketball Association. It's 11 a.m. on a Wednesday, and the 10,000-seat stadium is nearly full.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it really, really isn't. Like they're you know how Folks, you know how bad it is when you're lying on a video. You got eyes, right? Your eyes work. Look right here. Look right here. If you look right here on the left-hand side, it's not. Let's go. Let's go
Seat
back.
Stadium
Let's
is
go
nearly
back. Let's go back. If you look right here, where the arrow is. In fact, I'm gonna. Yeah. No. Look at it. Look. This is the lower level. Look at where my arrow is. There has got to be 100 empty seats in this section here. Look it up here. There's empty seats all over the place here. Empty, 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 empty. All this blue is empty. Look at it. Look at all these empty seats right here. Look at these empty seats. Look at these empty seats. Like, that's just one side of the arena. This is not a nearly full stadium. Do they think people are dumb? And this game was played in the summertime when they were giving away tickets to kids because that was that week where they were playing all these games at 11, 12, 1 p.m. because they were giving away tickets to summer camps so that people would come watch the games. And the reality of that was that those tickets largely were free. See, they don't tell the truth. And that's where it gets frustrating. They're lying to your face and they think you're stupid. The fact that you can see all these empty seats and someone sits here and tells you, look at how crowded this place is. It's nearly full. Remember, this place seats 10,000 people. I'm going to go back to this particular game because I know when it was. It was in July, or it was like in June or July. New York, July 10th. I'm pretty sure this is the day, the game, 11 a.m. They're claiming this had 8,900 people in here. Folks, you know that's not true. Like, you know that's not true. They're claiming this. This was the 11 a.m. game. It was on July 10th on a Wednesday. They lost by 3. They claimed 8,900 in an arena that seats 10,000. They're lying. Like, they're freaking lying. And for basketball, that actually is 93-23. So you think there's only 300 empty seats in this building? 400? Come on, man. They're lying to your face. There might be 7,000 in the building here. Might be. They're lying to you. But what's new? This video's lying. You can look in the arena. You can see the video. There's empty seats. This is an empty section on the first level.
full.
There is so much energy in this arena, no matter what time of day it is.
WNBA
That's also a lie because they only average like 6,000 fans a game.
is in its 27th
Hey, let me look this up. I'm curious. How many fans does the Connecticut Sun average at home? WNBA home attendance. The Connecticut Sun are really going to claim 8,400? Don't tell me that. Oh, no way. I will never believe the Connecticut Sun average 8,450 a game. Not a chance in. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. Yeah, I don't believe that for shit. They're claiming I don't believe that. No. No, I do not believe it. They averaged 6,200 a year before that. There's no way they average 8,500 a year later. No way. They're lying. These numbers are bogus. This is all. They averaged 2,700 people in 2021. I mean, come on, come on. That was COVID. That was the year after COVID. But I mean, come on. No, I don't believe it. You cannot convince me. I watch their games. They have empty buildings all the time.
7th season and has never experienced a year quite like this.
I remember where all we wanted was insurance all year round, to seeing where we are.
Coach White has been around the league for 25 years, first as a player and then as a coach. The New York Liberty has 2 national team players on the team, MVP Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, whose Nike shoe has become one of the most popular sneakers in the market. The home team is loaded with
Did she just say that Sabrina Ionescu's sneakers become one of the most popular sneakers on the market? Market for whom? Leaving out information because it's definitely not a men's market. I don't know that men are buying a Sabrina Ionescu sneaker. I don't believe that. But go ahead.
stars too: DeWanna Bonner, Brianna Jones, and Alyssa Thomas. They all played in the WNBA All-Star game a couple of weeks later, another event that broke records, including in attendance and viewership.
Why did that happen? Caitlin Clark. They keep leaving out the person who's reason for it.
Jones is earning $212,000 in 2024. That's a long way from the about $49,000 she made as a rookie in 2017.
She's way overpaid.
From where I started to where I am now, just I'm proud of that growth that I've made, just to earn that kind of money.
I'm
Still-
sorry. I gotta do this now. I'm sorry. Brianna Jones averaged 13.7 points per game, 5.5 rebounds. She's paid among some of the highest paid players in the league. Like 13.5 points. She was actually better in 23. 22, 13.8. 21. 14. I mean, it's amazing what gets paid so much. I'm not gonna say so much money, but some of the highest numbers in the league.
After the WNBA season is over, Jones goes overseas, often to a league in Europe, to play a second season, mainly to supplement her income.
I'm getting paid to do something that I love year round, and that's great. But as I'm getting older, my body's feeling the constant wear and tear of playing all year round.
Playing overseas has been a lucrative option for WNBA
I
players.
don't want to be mean, but you couldn't have found a player with more impact on the league than Brianna Jones. CNBC used Brianna Jones as its basketball player interview for this entire video. I'm flabbergasted. There's no one else. Nobody else you could have called. She's a decent player, above a good player. Good player. Great player, no. Good player.
Players for decades. Superstars like Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird were some of the first to be rumored to make more than $1 million per season in Europe, often in Russia. Phoenix Mercury star Brittany Griner did it too. She was detained for 293 days for possession of medical marijuana. Roughly half of the league's 144 players played in a second league in the winter of 2024.
We're never going to tell players what to do. We're going to tell them not to go overseas if that's what they want to do for them and their family. But, if you look at the 10, 11, 12 player on the bench who doesn't get a lot of playing time in the WNBA, wants to make a roster the following year, they probably need to go play in the offseason in some league.
Playing an entire year without a break is very strenuous on the body and can increase the risk for serious injuries. That ultimately shortens a player's career. On top of it, the WNBA...
What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? They play from May until September. And then they go play there for like 4 or 5 months. I mean, I don't know. The NBA players play 9, 10 months. The NBA players go from October to June. They get in camp in the end of September. I mean, they play literally 8 to 9 months a year, and they play a lot more games. Okay, I mean, I don't know how long the seasons are overseas, but I see them. They were literally leaving as soon as the season ended in WNBA, and I presume they'll be back by February. But I could be wrong.
NBA training camp starts at the end of April, but some European leagues aren't finished by then. This year, a highly debated prioritization rule kicked in. If a player missed any time with their WNBA team, they're ineligible for the season and forfeit their salary.
Which I agree with. I agree with that. That should be done. Like you have a league. You can't allow players, and if there's some leagues that are lasting too long, then the player has to make a decision. Well, I'm not going to play in that league. I'm going to play in a different league that ends in February. Give myself a couple months off, where I can relax and get my legs back. But if you're playing in a league that goes into freaking June, then you know what? Then that's tough shit on you. So I think that's very important for the WNBA that they should do that, because otherwise you're making your league look like a mockery. And that situation with Diana Taurasi, where she took a year off from the WNBA or the season off because she played in Russia, yeah, that was pretty pathetic. It makes the league look horrible.
If
you're trying to build a legitimate sports media entertainment property and players aren't there for the first month, I mean, the owners saw that. This happened well before I came in the door here.
In 1996, the NBA and its then commissioner David Stern launched a women's league.
I don't want to call it an unusual business model. No, it's an unheard of business model, because any other business that performs the way the WNBA has performed over its history would have been shut down. But it stays open in the WNBA. So yeah, that's a bit preposterous to me, to be quite frank. I find that ridiculous. But yeah, it's not unusual. It's unheard of.
The WNBA. The men's league was going through a huge boom with Michael Jordan at the helm, and a women's league played in the summertime would provide a full year of basketball and would also help grow the sport internationally. The NBA and its owners would own the WNBA.
It survived because of the great support the NBA has given it over many years. So there's a reason why the WNBA is the longest tenured women's professional sports league in the country. Think about this, by double any other.
WNBA team owners received 50% stake in 2002.
All right. Okay. Oh, God. She said that with a straight face. She said that with a straight face. The longest running women's professional sport. Yeah, because you had Big Brother pay the bill. Big Brother paid the bill. You didn't pay the bill. If you had to pay the bill wouldn't have been paid and the thing would have gone under. And actually, I think most of the owners of the WNBA franchises, most of them at least, if not all, but I'm pretty sure most of them, are NBA owners. So I think outside of Mark Davis, who I don't believe owns an NBA team, doesn't have any parts of an NBA team, with Vegas, every other team. Well, Seattle doesn't have a men's team anymore. So I don't know maybe who they're owned by, but every other team that I can think of is probably owned by the owner that owns the NBA franchise. Like the new owner of the Golden State Valkyries is the owner of the Warriors. The owner of the Liberty is the owner of the Nets. Like the Fever is owned by the same person that owns the Pacers. Yeah, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, you were funded as a charity case, and Big Brother paid the bill. That's why you're still here.
In 2022, the league raised $75 million from a group of investors, the league's first ever outside investment and the largest in women's sports history.
So Nick and Mickey Arison gave money to this league, but there's no team in Miami. Probably because Nick and Mickey Arison know that a WNBA team can't survive here. They just can't survive. It's a money pit. It's not going to make profit. It's not going to do well. It's been done. It's failed. Why would I do it again? It makes no sense. So they're just donating money basically because, again, you're an investor in something that doesn't make money.
They received 16% stake in return, leaving only 42% left for WNBA and its owners.
What made you decide to do that? How did that come about? Coming into 2021, we hired a banker. And I said, I really need capital because I need people. I need people to grow this business. I need marketing. And so we started deploying it immediately, did a digital transformation, hired some outside consultants. It'll be viewed in hindsight as a smart move to have done what we did.
So they didn't actually get a bank loan. They sold 16% of the league to outside investors. Interesting. That's a very interesting move. You sold the league because remember, the owner... This is a very unusual business model for real because it doesn't make a lot of sense. You don't have real ownership of teams of all the teams. Like the NBA still owns pretty much half the league. It's ridiculous.
But this also means only 42% of national level revenue, like TV and sponsorship deals, trickles down to the WNBA owners. The remaining goes to the NBA.
All right, I'm going to stop this right here for a Okay, I just checked it out. So half of the teams in the WNBA are actually owned by the owners of NBA teams. There are I think it was 6 that are owned by non-NBA owners. So it's just a very weird thing because 42% of your league is not actually owned by you. You're getting 42% of the money and you are not owned by, I mean, for the ones that are not owned by NBA owners, it's a really weird dynamic that you would be owned by someone who's only going to get 42% of the revenue, which is why these teams are largely losing money. The NBA gets the NBA gets 42%, and now you're giving away 16% to investors, outside investors who are not owners of teams. It's really, to me, it's just bad business. But I mean, I'm no expert.
NBA and its owners, 5 of which are also WNBA
Wow.
owners, and the outside investor group. The current TV deal is worth about $60 million in 2024. Only about $2 million of that goes to each team.
I think the WNBA, if they had foreseen this kind of growth that was ahead, they would maybe take an alternative path than selling 16% of this league. The WNBA will tell you that the $75 million of capital that came into the league allowed them to take advantage of this incredible moment in time they had by beefing up marketing staff, increasing headcount across the board.
Local revenue.
Let me stop there. I don't know what year they did this $75 million thing, but I don't know what he's talking about in terms of growth of the league. Like, what year? What is he talking about? Because there wasn't tremendous growth in this league until this year. There wasn't tremendous growth. Like, it's just a nonstop lie. You're pushing a lie. Yeah, you may want to grow the league, and you may have taken out this investor donation, loan, whatever, but it's just, So he's basically telling you that they probably should have taken a different route. And I mean, of course, you couldn't have truly anticipated Caitlin Clark. You had no idea when when they did this, I'm sure this was probably 2 or 3 years ago. So you didn't know that Caitlin Clark was coming, because if you knew, you'd be looked at as one of the dumbest people on the face of the earth to sell 16% of your league to investors.
On the other hand, from tickets to parking to concessions to local media rights, are kept with each individual team.
Really, they need to make their money on the local level. And there's a huge disparity in from the top to the bottom, much more so than you see in the other sports leagues.
In 2024, the WNBA is estimated to bring in $200 million in revenue. Just for comparison, the NBA is expected to earn $13 billion. The WNBA has historically lost around $10 million per season. Some estimates have said that the league is going to lose about $50 million. Is there a scenario that you will try to raise more money right now?
Probably not. We probably don't need to raise capital like we did back when I came in 2020, started assessing raising capital. But I think it's more about the impact we're able to have on bringing in corporate partners at valuations that are worthy of now our viewership, our attendance. And I think corporates are.
Our viewership and our attendance. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Our viewership and our attendance. The viewership is watching one player. The attendance is watching one freaking player. She's the one that makes the draw whenever they go to a different city. Like, this is like the banana in the tailpipe. I show you Caitlin Clark numbers, but I don't show you everybody else's numbers. Or if I show you their numbers, I show you their numbers because of Caitlin Clark being there a couple times a year. If I remove those numbers, then we get the real number. The real number. Like, that's what they're not doing. They're not giving you the real raw data number. And that's business, I guess, But she's sitting here talking about attendance numbers and showing corporate sponsors this. Yeah, man. There's a reason that Atlanta plays in a 4,000 seat arena. There's a reason that Washington plays in the 3,500, 4,000 seat arena. There's a reason Dallas plays in the 7,000 seat arena. There's a reason that Chicago plays in a 9,000 seat arena. There's a reason that Connecticut plays in a 9,300 seat arena. There's a reason that Vegas plays in a 10,000, 11,000 seat arena. Like, there's a reason for this. There's a reason the Minnesota Lynx curtain off their upper deck in playoff games. There's a reason for this. There's a reason the only team that's selling out every time they play in 2024 is the Indiana Fever, wherever they go. There is a reason. And it's got nothing to do with anyone else other than Caitlin Clark. So when she wants to sell this pipe dream to corporate sponsors, I hope she's telling the truth. I think they're smart enough to know and have a grasping of it. I'm sure Indiana this year has probably produced the most revenue of any team in basketball in the WNBA this year by a mile, even without going deep into the playoffs. But man, oh man, they're banana in the tailpipe, baby.
They're seeing that, wow, if I want to get with a consumer brand and a growth property, and I want to get to women and women of color, we're 80% women of color, WNBA might be a place where I would allocate my discretionary capital. I'm not sure if we didn't raise that capital, I'm not sure we would have been ready for this moment.
They are in growth mode right now. And if you're a fast growing tech company, your revenues are going through the roof. You might be losing more money than ever. You had never had a WNBA team with their own practice facility. And here we have the Phoenix Mercury, Matt Ishbia, opening up a $100 million facility. The Las Vegas Aces, Mark Davis was the first to do it.
This is Jess Smith, the president of Golden State Valkyries, the first WNBA expansion team since 2008. The San Francisco team will start playing in 2025. Toronto and Portland will be added to the league in 2026. Valkyries have already signed 15,000 season ticket deposits, the most
Okay,
in women's sports.
okay. God almighty. Look, number one, Golden State is the most highly valued NBA franchise in the league. I think I saw $8.8 billion today. A lot of this is because of the Warriors and off of the back of Steph Curry and what he's done in San Francisco and Oakland. 15,000. They're going to play it where the Warriors play, so they're not playing in a Band-Aid box. 15,000 season ticket deposits. Let's ask the question: how much do these tickets cost? See, that's where we also ignore the reality. The cost of a ticket to a WNBA game is a fraction. It's a fraction of what the cost of an NBA game is. Like, that's just the truth. If your base ticket, I don't know what their tickets cost. In fact, let's take a look right now. Oh, okay, so the deposit for a ticket for this team is $25. It's a non-refundable $25. I might put a deposit down for 4 tickets for that price. $25 deposit. Now I'm going to tell you what the deposit is. The deposit to get season tickets to the Inter Miami soccer team, it was a year or so ago when Lionel Messi showed up. You had to put it was either $200 or $250 non-refundable deposit just to get on the waiting list. Not tickets, but to get on a waiting list to potentially get tickets. Now compare the two. You're comparing $25 for a ticket you know you're going to get because the arena holds 20,000 people to $250 to get on a waiting list. Like that needs to be understood. So they can pass this along. It's cute. How much is a ticket gonna? I couldn't find how much tickets are cost because it doesn't show right now what each seat's gonna cost. But I'm gonna guess that it is not gonna cost all that much to buy season tickets for 44 games to a Golden State Valkyries game. And in the case of the Golden State Valkyries, it would be 22 home games because they play 44 total games. So if your pricing is even $100 a ticket, like you're talking about $2,200 for one ticket, $4,400. But that's not the price. We know that's not the price. Maybe for elite levels, top level seats, but for a mid-level, lower level seat, it's not going to cost more than the Warriors. I mean, it's not. For example, I'm looking at the Golden State Warriors game against the Dallas Mavericks this Sunday, the 15th. The get-in price for an upper deck ticket is $92.15 for a standard ticket. This is not a resale ticket. This is a standard available ticket. That's in the 200 level. I don't know what the BR is here. I have no idea what that is. It's like a bar ticket or something like that. But then if you look at $100 for the lower level, the cheapest I have found is $130. That's a pretty shitty one from what I'm seeing here. Not the greatest of seats. Like my tickets, for example, to a Miami Heat game with season tickets are $135 for row 9. I'm gonna guess that row 9 at this arena is for the Golden State Valkyries is probably gonna cost you $30. I can't imagine it's gonna be costing you much more than that. It'd be $30. But Miami Heat tickets right now, I got a contract, so Miami Heat tickets at this moment though are different than they were when I signed the contract, which locked me in for pricing because I think the pricing now for an individual ticket is like $200 for my section. I just don't see them selling for more than $30, $40 a game. That's just my guess. I could be wrong, but that's my guess.
Pressure is high. The team paid $50 million just to join the league. The men's team, which is owned by the same family, has won 4 NBA championships in the past decade.
I really do consider pressure a privilege. We have big aspirations to be part of that financial upside of showing what's possible, not only with the number of seats that we have, but being really intentional about the experiences that we create.
But Smith says it's important not to compare the WNBA with the NBA, salaries or otherwise. They are inherently different products.
You can never compare them. That's part of the problem, is that WNBA players have made a point of trying to compare what they make to what NBA players make, what they get to what NBA players get, ignoring the one biggest component, which is the fact that the WNBA has lost $270 million at a minimum over the last 27 years. And if you add this year, the number jumps over 300 million. So that's one of the issues, is that they ignore that one big component.
She says
the lifespan of the leagues, the number of teams, the number of athletes, the broadcast deals. It's just a different moment in time. In fact, when you do rewind to where the NBA was at the same moment in time for the W, they're more comparable. And so I think it's important to take note of that and to be.
The disingenuous nature of these types of comments are laughable. Number one, let's remember what year the NBA was formed. The NBA is a 78-year-old league, right? So what does that mean? We're in 2024. What does that mean? That means the league was founded in 1946. 1946. So 28 years for the NBA was 1974. 1974. People were watching television on black and white TV. There was no cable. There was no TV. There were no TV rights of anything substantial beyond, I mean, for Christ's sakes, the NBA Finals was played on tape delay in the early 80s before Magic Johnson and Larry Bird got into, like, late 70s at the very least. Like, come on now. What are we talking about? You just made a comment and compared your product, which started in 1997, and it's now 2025 next year, to a product that started in 1946. Did TVs even exist in 1946? I'm not sure of that. When did TVs get? I'm gonna look this up now too. When did the television get invented? The television, let me see, invented 1920. Okay, 1927 actually. Wow. But it became popular, what I'm seeing is in the 50s. So a lot of people, if people don't know, when you'd watch baseball games, they didn't watch them, they listened to them on the radio. Having a TV was a luxury in the 50s. When did the first color TV come out was the question. The color TV was 1954, but it didn't become profitable until the 60s. Like, the size of these things, the screens were like this big, and then they got bigger. And I'm like, think about the fact that I can go buy an 85-inch TV right now for like $600, $700. And in 1995, a 27-inch TV would cost you $1,000. Technology is different. So to sit here and put yourself in the same category and say it was comparable, you have television rights deals. You're on cable. You're on national network television. And you're going to sit here and compare yourself to the NBA product in 1974? Come on. Jesus Christ. This is why the WNBA just makes me laugh, because she said that shit with a straight face, and she's the president of the organization. God, let me continue.
Be aggressive, but chart our own path forward. That also doesn't mean we have to wait for things, but it does mean that we need time to grow.
But that time may be coming sooner than later. On July 24, 2024, the league signed an explosive 11-year, $2.2 billion media rights deal with Disney, Amazon Prime, and
Thank you,
NBC,
Caitlin
set to start
Clark.
in 2026.
This is historic. It's never been done before. As media companies look at it, they're looking at those household names, those rivalries, those games of consequence. We have our playoffs coming up. They all love the playoffs.
The rivalries, games of consequence, the playoffs. Oh my God, Kathy Engel brain dead. Salute Ben Daniel. Are you serious? Oh my God. Do these women not just, they don't acknowledge that the reason this all happened is because of somebody named Caitlin? But no, they don't. They want to say it's the rivalries and the playoffs and the games of consequence. Okay.
So they're paying now a much more right-sized value for RIP, which is called the WNBA and its players and the product they put on the court.
When we look at player salaries, people wonder, why are NBA player salaries 100 times higher than WNBA salaries? Because the TV money was 100 times higher in the NBA than it was in the WNBA.
Most sports leagues have a union that advocates on behalf of its players, negotiates salary caps, maximum and minimum salaries, benefits, and the way league revenue is split. That contract is called a collective bargaining agreement. The current CBA between the WNBA and the WNBPA was signed in 2020.
There are times where I was like, I look at the NBA, and there's men that are, making 10 times, 20 times, what I'm making. It's tough to see that inequality and knowing that.
Did you just? It's tough to see that inequality. Man, oh my God, that inequality. No one's watching you. No one's watching you. You're getting a donation. Your league exists because the NBA's been big brothering you and paying the bill for 27 years. But I know she said something else because I actually watched this whole video already. So,
On paper, we're kind of, equal.
Jones' teammate Alyssa Thomas is arguably one of the top 3 players in the league.
she's
She
on
makes the
paper
most
we're
of anyone
equal.
on the Connecticut Sun. Still, only $218,000. She too plays in Europe in the offseason.
Bro, if I made $218,000 a year to play basketball 4 months a year, there's no way in hell that I would ever go to Europe to play. I would never do it. Like, the average person makes like 40 grand in this country. And I get it. You want to go play in Europe and make more and you want to maximize yourself, perfectly fine. But don't complain about doing it. And that's part of the problem these women do. They complain about the fact that they do it. How about you play 8 months a year and 9 months a year for the WNBA, play 82-game schedule? You're not going to make LeBron's money, but maybe you'll make $500,000, $600,000 a year because there's more games, but there's more bills. More bills got to get paid. So it's like but $218,000 is not chump change. You're only playing 40 times, well, until next year. At this point, 40 times. You're only working 40 days out of 4 months. I mean, I know you go to practice and all, but you work 40 days, like legitimately work 40 days. And you're sitting here talking about you worked 40, you got 4 months and you make 218 grand. It's pretty damn good. Most people would love that living. Most people would. And they'd be part of businesses that are actually making a profit. You're part of a business that's 300 million in the hole.
The opportunity is there to make money over there. Of course, in the CBA, they've tried to prevent it and, make you fined or suspended if you're late to the W. But I found value in overseas. I've been able to develop my game over there and making 2 salaries in a year. Why not? While my body is still in great shape. I'm just trying to take advantage of that.
The current
Wait, did Brianna Jones and Alyssa Thomas just like put together this? Did they read the same script? Because they said the exact same thing, by the way. And Alyssa Thomas, the second player, it only took 13 and a half minutes for her to speak.
CBA was a big step up from the prior, at least from the player's perspective. Top players can earn up to $500,000 in cash compensation between salary, marketing opportunities, and merit bonuses. The maximum base salary is $241,984.
Look at those numbers. The max salary is 241. In 24, the max will be 27. But they already opted out, so they want more, obviously.
But only 3 players make that right now.
So players have the ability to make a fair amount, especially we're a 4.5, 5 month season. You want to have a league for these players. We're a 4.5, 5 month
I'm bringing
season.
this back right here. I'm bringing this back here.
So players have the
Sorry, I'm bringing this back here a second. I want you to see the fact of who makes this money.
$4. But only 3 players.
3 players make this money: Enrique Agumbawale, Kalia Copper, and Jewel Lloyd. Can you imagine a player that shoots 36% from the field and Jewel Lloyd and shot under 40% in like 26 of 40 games makes the league maximum? That tells you what the product is. Like, that tells you the value of this product. Like, you have one of your worst she's one of your best offensive players, but yet one of your worst offensive players in Jewel Lloyd. That's ridiculous. She makes the league max, and she is one of the worst shooting guards by percentage in the WNBA.
Players make that right now.
So players have the ability to make a fair amount, especially we're a 4.5, 5 month season.
Boom, she hit it right there. We're a 4.5 month, 5 month season, and you're sitting here acting like you're broke. You're making 200,000 to 240. If you're making that bread, you're making a great living. You're making a great living. I think social media has made people so delusional to what money truly is. They don't have a value of money anymore. Everyone's in designer shit. Everyone watches social. They watch videos. They see, oh my God, he's rocking Gucci this. A pair of Gucci shoes costs $1,000, bro. A pair of Prada shoes costs $1,000. Versace, all these different brands, they cost bank unless you get them on sale. And there are sales available, so you should watch out for the sales. You need to shop smarter, and not just trying to be showing off and clout chasing because you're wearing designer shit. But they see that stuff, and like, obviously you can't have a closet full of designer stuff making $200,000 a year. You can have a couple, but you can't have a full closet of it. You're not making millions. But at the same time, that's a great freaking living. Like that. If you made $200,000 for the rest of your life, you would be in the upper one. You would be in the top 2% of wage earners in the United States. Like, think about that. And you did it in 4.5 months. And yet you're going to complain while your league has lost over $300 million.
You want to have a league for these players to hand off to the next generation of players. So that's why we've been very careful. It's hard to get younger players and others to focus on. There's actually a business here that has to sustain itself. And yes,
that's the first smart thing that Kathy Engelbert said. It was right there. A business that has to sustain itself. And these players who live in the world of social media don't seem to grasp that basic premise. This is a business, and we have not operated as a business for 28 years. We've been a WNBA tax write-off charity for 28 years. We have to operate as a business. So I can't pay you $500,000 or $600,000. I can't do it. It's not possible. The revenue and the money is not there to do it. And the NBA doesn't want to make a $100 million check to the WNBA. They don't want to do that. So you got to understand, this is a business. The same way guys in the 70s who didn't make dog shit back then in the NBA, didn't make shit, or even the guys in the 80s when Bird and Magic hit the scene and then dollars started coming up. But Michael Jordan didn't make more than $3 million a year until his last contract, where he made like $30 million a year. But for the duration of most of his life, his career, he made $1 to $3 million a year as a player. Now, endorsements, his Air Jordans, obviously that's a different situation. But should Michael Jordan now go back and say, look, I want $60 million a year at 70? Really, realistically, Michael Jordan would be paid $100 million a year right now.
Absolutely want to return more to the players.
The contract runs through 2027, but there's an option to opt out by November 2024.
Which they already opted out
of. The union is expected to do so.
This is not going to be unexpected at all. We've done things to return to the players outside of collective bargaining, like a charter program. That's collectively bargained.
Thank you,
Caitlin
Clark.
Back in 2020. Now we can. 53% increase in playoff bonus.
Thank you, Caitlin
And we
Clark.
want to work side by side with the players, and we want to return more to the players.
One debated topic that is anticipated to come up in CBA negotiations is how much of league revenue the WNBA will share with its players. The NBA, for example, gives its players 50% of all basketball-related revenues. For the WNBA, it works very differently. It only shares half of what is called incremental revenue. Basically, once it reaches its preset revenue target, and it has to be 20% more than the year prior, only then do the players get half of that incremental income. Let's say the WNBA made its revenue target $1 million in 2023. It would have to make at least 1.2 in 2024, 20% more. If it does, only that $200,000 is split with the players. These are made-up numbers, of course, since the revenue target is undisclosed. Tell me why the revenue target or this unique sort of structure was set up to begin with.
Yeah, we were just surviving back then. We had no ability to, given the losses, we had low attendance, we didn't have a lot of merch sales, we didn't.
The merch sales are now Caitlin Clark sales, but go ahead. Yeah, I mean, look, the revenue. See, one thing I don't understand is revenue. The revenue. I don't understand revenue share at all, and I fully admit that. The NBA shares 50% of all basketball related revenue. Now, I don't know what that specifically means. Does that mean merchandise, ticket sales? What does that specifically mean? I don't know the answer to that, so I'm not gonna. I don't know it. I mean, so concessions. Does it include sponsorships and corporate donors? Like, what does that mean? Because I don't know how an NBA franchise can afford to give 50% of revenue to NBA players when they're already making hand over fist in their contracts. Like their average contract is is 10 times what, or 5 times what, at least 5 times. What is the minimum salary for an NBA player? Minimum NBA salary. It's $1.157 million. So it's more than over almost 5 times what the maximum salary is for a WNBA player. Now, it's hard for me to quantify how you can give away half the revenue before profit. So I'm not sure. I definitely don't know, but I know this: the WNBA has been losing money for 28 years. So giving revenue sharing on 50%, like that bill the NBA would be cutting would be probably 10 times that or 5 times that, at this point. So yeah, they had no viewership.
Didn't have a lot of viewership. We didn't have a media deal worthy of what we're going to have now in 26 and beyond. So it's all just a business model. And so as we get into the next round of negotiating, I'm sure that's on the table.
As of April 2024, the target revenue had not been reached. Do you expect to reach that revenue target this year?
Probably not the way it was designed based on a CAGR. So what that means, a cumulative average growth rate. And because if you looked at the prior year, especially COVID year, 2 COVID years, it's tough.
This entire deal was struck just before COVID hit, and that totally decimated the economics of just about every sports league. And what propped up really the other sports leagues is those national TV contracts, because the game still went on. The WNBA didn't have that massive TV deal they could fall back on.
We would like to see that number go up, but also I think in the right way. I think it doesn't need to just, go to salaries. What does that look like? Like, because we now have chartered flights and things like that. And, we were adding teams and things like that. So, yes, we would like to see this number go up, but we also want to see the league grow and improve.
We go ahead and start trying to snap our fingers tomorrow, and all of a sudden, the current roster of WNBA players are getting 50% of league revenues like their NBA brethren. What type of financial position does this put the league in? And I think any of us that are following this, we'd rather see these players still have opportunities to play on WNBA teams rather than see the league go defunct because they were too aggressive.
It's been the reason that we've been able to sustain 27 years. And now we are getting to the point where there's more marketing, there's more influx of funds coming into the W, and then that will allow for the next level of salaries.
But while the league is going through immense growth, it is also facing some growing pains. In an interview with CNBC, Engelbert's response to a question about what the league is doing to prevent racism and hate speech as it relates to its star rookies Clark and Reese sparked a heated debate among players and fans alike.
It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those 2 rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black, And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another.
In a letter to the players, the commissioner said, "I regret that I didn't express in a clear and definitive way condemnation of the hateful speech that is all too often directed at WNBA players on social media."
That's horseshit, man. Dude. I don't agree with what she said and how she said it, but she's right. She's actually right. And this oversensitivity nonsense in the WNBA just, again, you found a way to take a shot at Caitlin Clark again. Like, they keep doing it. CNBC, good job. Welcome to the club. National media right there. Racists, misogynists, all that bullshit. It's bullshit. And it's exhausting to listen to. The social media stuff, don't read it. Caitlin doesn't. And I'm sure she's gotten plenty of hateful comments too. But she doesn't read it. She doesn't complain about it. You're getting attention. Whether it's good or bad, you're getting attention. Like, you don't get to pick the attention that you get. Go to any NFL game. You don't get to pick the fans that go to the games. Go to any NBA game. You don't get to pick your fans. Baseball, soccer. Soccer fans are the most rabid people in the world. They will make you unalive at a game. People DIE at a game. So don't compare and don't go. This direction is just sad. Constant. It's nonstop. Of course, CNBC included it.
With so much at stake, the WNBPA has put together a 5-person advisory committee to help with the upcoming CBA negotiations. Once signed, it'll go into effect for the 2026 season. By then, 2 more teams will have joined, and the new TV rights deal will have flushed the league with some much-needed cash. The question is, will it be enough?
We're looking forward to sitting down with the union, with that advisory group of owners and players across the table. We'll be in listening mode, and I know a little more now about the economic model and how we need to sustain it. But look, we're in a great place, and we look forward to sitting down with the players.
Are you at all worried or nervous about 2026 and beyond, the
You should be.
expectations of it and living up to that and being able to capitalize on all
You should
this
be.
immense growth?
When you have a lot of people calling you to invest in your teams or your league, it's a really good sign that people want to put capital in what they view as a growth business.
Sorry, that growth business, that's not true. It ain't a growth business. They based everything that they've done. This entire people want to invest in your league is all happening because Caitlin Clark showed up and Caitlin Clark has made that type of impact. Without Caitlin Clark, this would not be happening. So I think you need to really open your eyes and wake up, because that's not real. You think it is, it's not real. This is literally another example of the Caitlin Clark effect on the WNBA. People want to invest because of Caitlin Clark, but they don't seem to see the rest of it and know that half these buildings are still smaller than freaking high school and college arenas. So yeah, interesting interesting video. I think they're stuck in the land of delusion, just like I've always like so many people are. WNBA is run like a shit burger, and you see it. She just basically told you it was a shit burger. They sold 16% of their freaking business to outside investors. 42% go to the NBA owners, the NBA owners, and 42% go to the people that own teams in the WNBA. The players have an absurd revenue sharing agreement, which is because they don't make money. It's that simple. And will it grow? Sure, it's going to grow, and it should grow as the league grows. Will the league grow to stand on its own? See, that should be the ultimate goal at the end of the day, is to buy out the NBA. So how do you do that? That's the question. I don't know the answer. Does that mean that every owner in the WNBA pays a certain check to remove itself from the NBA? Well, the problem is you just agreed to an 11-year deal for TV, for which the NBA has given to you, because that's how the TV rights work. They're not their own. They didn't negotiate this on them by themselves. This is the NBA allocating that money over 11 years to the WNBA. And we all know this. So how do you escape that? How do you get a deal better than that? I don't know that you can. I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe they can. I'm not sure. I don't know. But we have 3 more teams coming in. That money is being divided by more teams now. So the money is, while it's gone up, it's going to go right back down. The expenses are going up. Everything's going up. You want to build a facility? Your expense just went up. Interesting video, though. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you thought about the video. What do you think of how they addressed it and made it seem like they're actually organically growing? Because they're not organically growing. They're growing based off of one player, and they don't really want to acknowledge that. But what's new? That's what the national media has done when it comes to the WNBA. Leave your comments. Leave your thoughts. This is Rudy's Rant. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow. Appreciate you. It's Rudy's Rant. Facts over feelings.